Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic.
Americans, what is your opinion on Canadians boycotting US goods, services and tourism? Voting with your cash and your feet is a vital part of liberty. Edit. Okay, now how about those 5-year-old, 250% import tariffs by Canada on US milk, cheese, and butter? Edit. Tariffs function like subsidies and price supports, in a lot of ways. IMHO, one of the US most damaging policies has been the price supports around US sugar production. Bad for everyone except producers and politicians. Edit. Askreddit insists on posts that will stimulate discussion. I'm happy. Edit. If US produced dairy is as unhealthy as many have asserted, why does Canada allow it to be imported at all? Totally agree. Vote with your dollars, but also vote. Canadians can only vote with their cash. I live in Maine, which has benefits greatly from its relationship with Canada, and I say good for them. As a Michigander with an equally large relationship with Canada, I say good on em. Washingtonian here, I support Canada. If Canada somehow elected a lunatic who started running his mouth about turning the US into a Canadian province, we'd be way worse to them. This boycott is downright polite. I support it 100%. I think they should take back their electricity and buy all the eggs while they're at it. The US just went and kicked them in the DCK for no reason. They are standing up to a bully and I, US citizen, applaud them. I hope the entire world takes the same stance. Our president is being a terrible neighbor. I'm Canadian. The thought of annexation, like some idiot keeps saying, literally keeps me awake at night. While it seems your thoughts are the average Reddit sentiment, I truly hope that's also the average American thought. Edit. Thanks all. This has made me feel a little better. Canada. As an American, I say boycott and use targeted tariffs to put the hurt where you can. I'm with Canada if it's threatened, and it's embarrassing that it happens to be the president, or puppet, of my country that is doing the threatening. I needed to read all these comments with support from the USA. I really hate your country right now and it's killing me. We hate it too, brother. We're being dragged underwater by the stupidest, shittiest people in the country. They want to drown us, even if it kills them too. If the worst happens and things escalate, you can count on a lot of us not just refusing to take up arms against our northern family, but sabotaging any war efforts we can. I'm hating my country right now. As someone with respect for the law and process, it's infuriating at what is being done and how the parts of the government are supposed to act as a stop to this aren't doing anything. I'm looking at the Republican-controlled Congress who will admit that actions are unconstitutional but just shrug and accept it, or the court that made Trump immune and thus all his cronies will be pardoned. However, governments are different than people. I grew up in Los Angeles and knew many Iranians and Iraqis. I hated the governments, but the people were nice and made some amazing food. I'm hoping this country can change its government, but it will take education and time. And personally, I wouldn't trust this current administration. Until then, I'm fine with every country doing what it can to make life here as painful as possible. If you could focus the pain on red states and billionaires, that'd be nice, but really the country as a whole deserves it. Perhaps you could talk to other countries that have done things like ratify the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the Convention on the Right of the Child, and not play nice with the USA until we ratify these basic understandings. If you threaten, insult, and put tariffs on the goods, how do you expect them to react? Trump is insane complaining about the trade deal with Canada, a deal which he himself made in 2018, which at the time he claimed was the best trade deal ever. Now he complains that whoever made that deal must have been stupid. Well, he's not wrong. The deal wasn't stupid, but the person who made it is. It's even more insane because you mostly import raw materials from us which you then process and manufacture into advanced goods which you sell to the rest of the world. That's why there's a trade deficit. Canada can't buy back all the robot arms etc. you make with our raw steel, for example. That doesn't mean you're losing money in the trade deficit. The robot arms are worth a lot more than the steel you bought from us to make them. The insanity is acting like a trade deficit is casus belli for an imperial invasion. You sell more to us than we sell to you, therefore your sovereignty must end. What the fuck? We're a nation of 40 million selling to a market of 330 million, of course we're going to sell more than we buy. Calling it a subsidy as well. Like, why is none of their media trying to educate their population on the difference between a subsidy and a deficit? We aren't getting anything for free, we're selling, they're buying. I can't get over how stupid it is. Trade and fentanyl are made up lies to justify the unjustifiable, and half the American population supports it. Latest presidential approval rating is 47% according to Gallup polls. I am never going to forget half of America is my enemy. Ever. Can someone get this man a beer? Our anger has nothing to do with the trade disputes, or the tariffs, or them being mad that we don't pull our weight with NATO. Those are simply disagreements between our governments and can be resolved with a few simple phone calls. Our anger is 100% focused on the 51st state crap and our sovereignty being threatened. Threatening Canada's very existence means you're threatening our culture and our lives, because let's be real here, if they take over our country, there's no way we'll be treated as equal citizens. Best friends disagree all the time, but they're still best friends at the end of the day. This way less of a disagreement with a best friend, and more of your best friend pointing a gun at you and threatening to pull the trigger and then burn your house down. Would you ever want to talk to that friend again? I hope to God one day we can make it right. Fully support. Honestly, I'm also kind of envious that Canada is showing such strong unity. I wish we would show the same unity against Trump and his MAGA cultists. Yep, I consider Canadian and Mexican people as brothers and sisters. Fuck these spiteful MAGAs and the colon they fell out of. Do what you have to do. You know, the brother who smokes meth and steals grandma's jewelry to pay for it and then finds Jesus and steals grandpa's coin collection and sells it to give the money to a televangelist but then also still smokes meth. That's MAGA. I think it is a great idea. To show my support, I am living on Labatt Blue and Canadian whiskey. Hey, that's just not healthy. Maybe add some poutine for nutritional balance. The first time I visited Canada a couple of decades ago, I ordered fries and the waitress asked me if I wanted gravy on them. That's the moment I fell in love with Canada. Canadians, I hope you know that almost half of us down here in the States are at least as opposed of about this bullshit as you are. The stuff that's going on here is un-American, anti-democratic, and anti-human. We will overcome this. I hope it doesn't get to a point where we need Canada, Mexico, and the rest of the free world to help us. Labatt is not a fully Canadian-owned beer. The largest fully Canadian-owned beer brand is Moosehead. I understand and support it. This administration is going to break the United States. Just like they've been promising, real burn it all down to rule over the ashes stuff. Donald J. Trump, a president for ash holes. I, for one, welcome our new Canadian overlords. Thanks, A. We'd much prefer if you got your house in order, not really interested in overlording at the moment. We've not yet tried anything and we are already out of ideas. We are begging for Canadian overlords. I'm sorry you're living above a meth lab, the US. Their boycott makes me strangely proud. Not that I'm Canadian, but I've been raised to empathize with the underdog and hate the bully. Jealous Canadians have a real enemy to unite against. Meanwhile, us Americans are being told minorities are the enemy. It's truly amazing. Canadians from literally every political stripe are coming together and fighting for our country. I'm not sure we've seen anything close to it in the past few decades. I hope that silver lining leads to less stringent intra-provincial trade barriers. Canada will be stronger and more self-reliant if it does that. This is an opportunity. You know it's bad when hockey fans in Montreal sang the anthem in English at the Canada vs USA game last night. As a Canadian, I'm sorry. And that was a genuine expression of fellow feeling, not a language tick. We don't want the American government as our enemy. You folks are cloth from the same loom, we're just on two different bolts. As an American, one can say, fuck Americans. I should have left this shit country years ago. I've always thought of Canadians as our best friends, and I find it genuinely heartbreaking that this is how we're treating you. You and your country deserve better. I'm all for it. Only way to get a politician's attention is when enough of his voters scream they're gonna elect someone else. Okay, let the maggots suffer. Seriously, any non-conservative knows what's gonna happen. It's going to suck, but we aren't going to bail them out too this time. Trump's first term wasn't as bad as it could have been solely because there were still Democrats in power in Congress. Even then, it fucking sucked for a lot of us. This time, they're saying the quiet part out loud and literally calling most maggots parasites with the rest of us. They can figure it out on their own. A warning for President Musk and his tech bros. There is a rule: never presume your boss's authority is your authority. If Trump strokes out or falls down the stairs, President Musk's authority goes to zero. It's a mistake Trotsky made. Trotsky's problem was his power was Lenin's. Trotsky made a lot of enemies and no one liked him. I say keep it up. This country, the US, has its head so far up its own ass that it thinks going backward to 1929 is progress. I'm legitimately sickened by the way this first month of this administration has undone literal decades of relationship building that past generations have spent blood, sweat, and tears building. Boycott away. And while you're at it from that side of the border, I'll boycott American goods from within. We've got another 4 days before we hit 1 month. It's amazing how quickly this country could be dismantled. I know the opposition's hands are tied, so I'm hopeful for the courts to step in quickly and shut this all down. As for the main question, this American is 100% supportive of our friends to the north. Fucking do it. Canada fought in the trenches with us during WW1. Canada stormed the beaches of Normandy with us during WW2. Canada sheltered our aircraft and citizens when they were grounded on 9/11. Canada fought with us in Afghanistan for 20 years. And by the way, provided my US Army unit with much-needed MEDEVAC support when no one else would or could. What the US is doing is not how one treats a brother. It's not how one treats a friend. We deserve every bit of this. Amen. We send aircraft and wildfire fighters down every year to numerous states alongside Mexico and other allies. We won't stop because it's the right thing to do and you guys help us out too, but we could easily. Well, brother, sister, I hope that when this period is over, we can continue as friends and pick up where we left off. You all and half our citizens deserve better.